Welcome to the FullyCrypto podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the FullyCrypto podcast, your home of quality blockchain and cryptocurrency news, reviews, opinion and more. My name is Mark Hunter, and the man who hit his all-time high many years ago, it's Alex Mears.
Hi, sir. How are you doing today?
Very well, thanks. Very well. Have you been keeping an eagle eye on Bitcoin today, or have you had many other more important things to do?
I've been very busy today. I've not had a chance to watch Bitcoin. How's it been doing?
Oh, it was sort of 19.2, 19.3. It was getting very exciting. And then when I realised it wasn't going to go past the all-time high, I realised I had lots of work to do instead. So I was rushing off to do my work this afternoon.
Oh, you wasted your day watching Bitcoin.
I did.
Tap, tap.
It's never a waste, although it does feel like it at the time. But
Yeah.
anyway, we'll see where it goes. We are delighted tonight to be joined by Alex Agut, the CEO of HandCash, which is the premier BSV wallet app. Alex, welcome to the FullyCrypto podcast.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Great. It's been a great week. Very busy weeks lately, and we are about to launch our new version of HandCash. We are calling it 2.5 because it's kind of in the middle of the road between the what we had already in production, the 2.0, and what we have in mind, the 3.0. So this is kind of a middle in the road launch for us, and it's pretty important because it has a migration to a keyless system and such.
Great stuff. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that in much more detail in a few minutes' time. But before we crack into that, let's just start at the beginning, if you like, of your cryptocurrency journey. So tell us a bit about who you were, how you got into crypto, and how HandCash got started.
Sure. I like to call myself a marketer and a product designer because, frankly, I've been doing too many things. But all the uh, startups and companies that I've been working on, I always had in common this kind of intersection between marketing and product design.
Hmm.
So in 2017, we've already been experimenting with crypto for a couple of years, but nothing big. Just like making some money exchanges and trying to get a feel for the technology. And we were very curious about it because in our previous startup back in 2015, it was a sharing economy app, and it was basically services between neighbors. The problem with that was that most payments were very small, about $5 to $10, and people had to pay in cash, so we couldn't get a cut for ourselves. And we tried to automate the system with Bitcoin or whatever, but it was too complicated. It was very difficult at the time to get Bitcoin, and the for regular people at least, the wallets all the wallets sucked, and there was no way for integrating micropayments easily inside an app. So we kind of did the idea in 2015, but we were still a bit interested in all these crypto currencies and stuff as a technology. And then in 2017, after launching a few other apps like a Pokemon Go radar, was very successful. We had an app that was for contact swapping with NFC. You basically tap your phones and you exchange the contact information, and that was pretty cool. Do you remember that Bitcoin and all this stuff sucked because the UX was awful? Why do they call it electronic cash if it doesn't work like cash at all? It's more like a bank account for developers or something. So we actually had the idea of what if we try to actually make it like cash by using this NFC technology that we are applying on this contact swapping app, but making it into a Bitcoin wallet. That's super easy. You only are tapping your phones and the money is sent from one way to another. And let's see if it works. And we built a very small MVP that basically only did that. And it worked. And we were very thrilled about that. So we started to dedicate our nights on building this thing even more. And I think the breaking point came when we were testing this thing back in late 2017, and the fees on BTC skyrocketed because we started our first version of HandCash on BTC, and the fees skyrocketed. The transaction times were not predictable. You had to wait for confirmation, so the UX was terrible. So that's how we started looking elsewhere.
Tell me about how the swap came about from Bitcoin to BSV. How did that process evolve?
Sure. Once we decided that BTC was not a great technology for what we wanted to do, we were investigating about Lightning, but our conclusion was that the only way that Lightning would work would be with having very very few amounts of Lightning nodes, which kind of Lightning banks with billions of dollars of liquidity each. And by studying the technology, that we came to that conclusion, and over time we are more confident that that's the only way that Lightning can actually work. But that doesn't mean that it won't work. It's just that it's another kind of, it's not custodial, and it's not self custodial and all this stuff. So anyway, we were looking for alternatives, and we were looking at many coins, and we ended up with three finalists, which were Bitcoin Cash at the time, which recently forked at the time. It was about October 2017. We're talking about Litecoin, because it was pretty popular, and Nano, because we actually liked the kind of the technology of the balances and how lightweight it was. But we ended up with Bitcoin Cash mainly because we felt more confident about the technology and the people behind, and also because there was a community of investors behind it. So we knew that this was going to be taken seriously by some companies, and we could have get some investment.
Did you see it as important to keep the Bitcoin name in there somewhere if you could? Because if you move to Litecoin or Nano, it doesn't have the same ring to it. But people know the name Bitcoin, so whichever fork of Bitcoin you use, you've still got that Bitcoin name, haven't you?
We've never cared about that much, because we actually our goal has always been to use this technology in the background, so the user doesn't
Hmm.
even notice they are using crypto. And although right now you still have to deal with some Bitcoiny stuff like the number of BSVs or whatever, that's something that we are about to change in a few weeks. We have a very particular way of solving this, and it's not about stablecoins or anything like that. It's, well, you will see. I cannot talk about that yet, but we have some trademarks and stuff, and I think we think it's going to be pretty bold move. Some people might hate it at first, but we are here to try to change things. If we try to do the same things over and over again and they don't work, we are not interested in doing that.
What is the definition of insanity not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result?
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to try something new, don't you? Otherwise, it's not going to get better.
Well, that's what we think. Some people might think that it's just a matter of time or educating people, but we don't believe in having to educate people to have a great product. We think the product has to speak for itself.
Yeah, exactly. Should be nice, easy, simple to use, and something people don't need to go to a university course to be able to use.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. Like I'm really intrigued now. You've got me interested. It's like saying there's a present under the tree. It's in a box, but I can't tell you anything more. Like I just want to know. I want to rip it open.
No, I cannot tell much more, but it's not about tokens, and it's not about, no, it's just about making making Bitcoin nice.
Okay.
The few people that know about this plan, at first it was pretty shocking because it's never been done in crypto. And and 2 days later they all come like, I've been thinking about this plan of yours, and I think it's brilliant. I think it makes so much sense. We think it makes sense, rationally. And that doesn't mean that in this irrational world and irrational market that people are going to actually accept it. But we are, every day that passes, we are more and more confident that this is going to be a great solution for a problem that's been with Bitcoin since day one, and it's pretty simple.
Nice. So, what caught my attention most about HandCash was when you guys announced that you are gonna ditch seed phrases. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you're doing that and just how it works? Because I think I got a bit confused by it.
Sure. But before explaining how it works, I think it's important to understand the why, the
Okay.
motive about it. The thing is, we might be one of these rare companies in crypto that we offer some kind of customer support. We
Hmm.
take it very seriously because we think it's is also an essential part of having a great user experience. That if you're using a new technology, then something, we are a small company and things can go wrong. At least you have to have someone behind the project to actually help you out. So I think it's very upsetting when you are in this case I'm the CEO of this company, and it's very heartbreaking when you see over and over again you receive all these emails about people, hey, my friend lost the words, I lost my words, or whatever. And it's not just from newbies. You might think that only very novel people are losing their seed phrases,
Mm.
but it turns out that regular Bitcoin users are losing them all the time too. So we were very fed up because it's, yeah, we can say, hey, this is a non-custodial wallet, you just have to write down these words, all the responsibility is on you. But people don't just don't do it. So we are the product owners, and we think that that's just an excuse. We don't want to bring excuses. If our product is shitty because we settled for crappy legacy technology and ways of doing things, it's our fault. It's entirely on us. So we decided to actually do something about it, and we have been trying different approaches since we launched in 2017. And right now we ended up with this keyless system, which is pretty nice. The um, the first iterations that we had was as we already were doing NFC payments phone to phone,
Mhm.
we thought about, what if you can store your seed phrase on an NFC tag? And it was a complete failure, although it worked perfectly fine
Yeah.
since day one, and it was great because it was super easy to do. People, they didn't, it was very new and people didn't know what to do about it, what kind of NFC tags were compatible with it,
Yeah.
and they were very confused about it, so they never did it. So
I think that's the biggest problem with NFC is that people don't get it and it doesn't always work perfectly.
yeah. Yeah, that was another story, and that's why we did the NFC person to person payments, because we couldn't control the user experience. You had phones where the chip placement was on top, near the camera. The other one was below. Then there are different, multiple NFC chips. There are some brands that are not compatible with other standards, so it's kind of a mess, and we couldn't guarantee a good user experience, so we did sit out because we already were doing we were already had the handle system,
Yeah.
which is something that we also invented, at least had to
Mm.
build from scratch on BCH. And yeah.
Nice.
But regarding the keyless system, another trick that we tried was going keyless in another way by offering people the ability to back up their seed phrases on their iCloud and Google Cloud accounts.
Okay.
But there was a problem, which was that you had to ask people to actually do it, and they didn't. It's not that people are not willing to write down the words, or um, you know store something on their cloud or whatever. The problem is that you are asking them to take action for something that they are not used to take action in other apps, in
Yeah.
other, in their banking apps or whatever. So that's when you're trying to reach mainstream people. They want a mainstream experience. They don't want this kind of odd ways of, but I have my money here. Why do I have to do anything? What does this to do anything with Google?
Yeah. You sort of need to make it idiot proof, don't you?
Yeah. So we decided just to actually, we were briefed in Enchain offices. Do you know which company is Enchain, right?
Yeah. The one
Hmm.
with
Familiar?
Jimmy Newton and Craig
Yeah,
Wright.
yeah. So they were our earliest investor in our early stages. They came to us, whatever, and so we went to their offices one day, and they explained to us this idea that they had with using a mathematical technique called threshold signatures,
Hmm.
and basically consists that you have partial signatures, and instead of restoring a key, you basically the key is never restored anywhere, so that's great for security,
Yeah.
and you just have multiple parties that have to sign every transaction every time. So we decided to implement that system for HandCash. So we have two companies. Well, one company is ours, is HandCash, and there's another company that's called MatterCloud, which we have a partnership for offering this kind of service for us. We call that a trust holder service. And the trust holder basically what does is that they verify the email address of the user, and we verify the phone number of the user. So you have this phone and email verification in with two different companies that cannot share the key, and you do it through the same onboarding process in the same app without having to do any weird stuff. And that's basically the login system that you have with most money apps or banking apps. That way we could maintain this normalcy of
Hmm.
signing up and signing in with the email address and the phone number. And the great thing is that we don't have to ask the user to actively back up their keys.
Yeah.
Once they create their account, the account is backed up instantly.
Oh, cool. So do you hold half the key and then the other company holds the other half? And then once
Yeah.
both bits are approved, it's like, yep, okay, you're good to go.
Yeah. The thing is that the key is never. We never restore a complete key anywhere.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So is there any way someone could hack this system? Like, could you spoof it? I mean, if, say, for example, I know your email address and your phone number that you've signed up to HandCash with, could I use that somehow?
You don't have to know the email and number. You have to actually authenticate with them.
Ah, okay. So you have to have access to these things. You have to have access to the phone number and the email
Yeah, you
address.
have to actually have, yeah, and you would have to go number by number, and we if a user thinks that that we have planned for most possible scenarios. So maybe something can out of a billion times can go wrong or something, but for regular scenarios, if you think that your phone your any of your credentials might be compromised, we just email us and we can help you change the credentials so the attacker cannot do anything, or we can just freeze the account or whatever.
Oh, that's cool. So say my phone gets stolen, like on a night out, or I leave it on a plane or something, I can
Mm,
just quickly send you an email
yeah,
and say, "Hey, look, I lost my phone. Please don't do anything."
sure.
That's cool. That's a nice feature.
And also, another great thing that we can do with the system is that we are finally decoupling your identity from your keys in a non-custodial system. You basically HandCash is a HandCash account. It's not that it's a Bitcoin seed that you are storing in multiple places. It's another kind of
Hmm.
infrastructure. The cool thing is that if you, for example, change your phone number, you can just tell us change your phone number associated to that account,
Hmm.
and you don't actually have to change the credentials that the trust holder and HandCash have. Or
Oh,
you
that's
can
cool.
or you can generate new keys for whatever reason. If we think something might have been compromised, we can just generate new keys and move everything instantly. So
Oh, that's nice. So no matter what happens, you guys will always be there to be able to help and make it as user friendly and easy to use as possible.
yeah, that's the point. I mean, in the first version of HandCash, we were totally super decentralized, super private. We didn't know anything about the users or what they were doing or the
Yeah.
transactions, because the wallet was on the client side. It was not on the cloud. So
Hmm.
right, HandCash right now is a wallet, a cloud wallet,
Okay.
and it's much better for support and for user experience and for fixing issues, and it's
Hmm.
much 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 better.
Yeah, because as nice as it is to hold the wallet yourself, I think for people who are new to the space, it's nice to have the reassurance that there's someone else to help you. There's someone else that they've
Sure.
got your back in case you make a mistake or you forget something. It's a bit
Yeah.
more, when you got your life savings all tied up. It's reassuring. It helps you sleep
Well,
easy at
we
night.
Well, although HandCash is probably the most secure BSV wallet out there by maybe a wide margin, we don't want people to have and actually we are trying to be very proactive with this. We don't want people to hold their life savings in here. This is for using. This is a usage
Okay.
focused wallet, and we are adding apps and adding other stuff to make it very useful and very cool. But we don't want people to hold many. We are not a bank, and
Yeah.
we don't offer insurance. This is a small company. We do the best we can to the best of our ability and inside the law and everything to maintain our system secure, whatever. But just don't be stupid. I mean, don't have all your life savings in. I just wouldn't do it. Even if it's a
Yeah,
even if it's
it's
a custodial service with Bitcoin or whatever, you are seeing all these shutdowns of exchanges and things that are going on. I wouldn't have all my life savings on crypto, or at least not all in the same place.
yeah, exactly. If you're gonna put it all in crypto, spread it out over a few different wallets, just to be safe.
Yeah, I would recommend that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regarding the usage of HandCash, the app, then, because I'm not too kind of au fait with how it works. Can I use it to buy things in a shop? Can I convert my BSV into my local currency and buy things in a shop, or is it just for transferring BSV from one wallet to another?
No, there are a few shops that actually. In fact, we announced last month, I think it was, or 2 months ago, we announced a partnership with a company from Switzerland that's called Senti, and they are about to do this thing first in Switzerland and then in the rest of Europe. But there are some points of sale that are getting popular here in Europe, and they're using QR codes. So basically, what this company is doing is that they are translating these QR codes into BIP 270. That's the technical specification of it. Payments that are compatible with HandCash, and we have this exclusivity for 12 months at least. And
Mhm.
it's very cool because you can actually pay in real stores with HandCash, or at least you will be able very soon. The deal is made, and they're just waiting for having the thumbs up from one of the payment acquirers companies. And also there are a few, everywhere that you have Bitcoin SV compatible payments on the web. For example, we using the AnyPay payment processor, for example, or Coinify, whatever. It's compatible with what with HandCash. And also the cool thing is, and although that's good to have because you have to have somewhere to spend this money to be also useful. We have been testing with a small group of users, and we hopefully launch this week or early next week our 2.5 update with HandCash, and then you can connect your HandCash account to many apps and games. And so the thing is very cool because you don't have to deposit your money on other services and having to store new keys for new services. And that's is
Mhm.
you sign in to Twitch, for example, and you spend right away from your HandCash account, and everything you earn from Twitch or Tonic Pow or Peer Game or any of these cool apps and games, you are making that money inside of HandCash. So basically, everything is going to go around nano payments and applications.
Cool. Um, are you dependent on the BSV ecosystem to succeed for your product to succeed? Because it seems so inextricably linked to it that if BSV doesn't catch on, then your platform has limited usage, doesn't it?
No, no. I mean, our plan is to be 100% independent from any BSV ecosystem, any BSV jargon, any BSV or crypto, or it's not just BSV, crypto.
Mhm.
This is something that we are going to decouple from both things in the coming weeks or months, and we will have our own ecosystem. We'll still be kind of compatible with BSV to send money to another wallet in case you want it, but not much more than that.
Would you expand to other chains as well? Like, would you allow people to, use your services for Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies in the future? Or are you solely
No,
BSV for life?
because they don't work for what they don't work, and we don't want to have multi currency. We are not about crypto and having multi currencies and collectible tokens and all that stuff. We want to use this as cash, and we want to use the best backend system that allows us to have this cash usage between apps, and it has to be fast enough, reliable enough, and cheap enough so we can have this. So the nano payments business model is viable for
Yeah.
developers.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So what do you think about BSV's new massive block size? Like, do you think it's gonna help your users and your clients move funds better and more efficiently?
I think it needs to demonstrate that it scales to attract developers, but at this point, it's not essential. There no, it's cool that at least we don't have a limit on that because but we have more than enough um, capacity right now to focus so all companies can focus on providing value for the users. In fact, in BSV we never talk about the protocol anymore because that's something that's already solved.
Yeah.
It scales. It only depends on software basically for scaling the on hardware, I mean, excuse me.
Hmm.
It doesn't need much more software tweaks for actually scaling to humongous uh, amounts of block sizes. But it's not that something that is worrying for us at this time. If we were on BCH or especially on BTC, we would be very worried. But on BSV, we don't have any technical limitation, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Because no matter how busy the chain gets, the block sizes can always handle all the transactions.
Yeah,
It's not like a Bitcoin, for example, where you could be sat in the mempool for
yeah,
2 to 3 hours, as I think everybody in Bitcoin has experienced.
yeah. The block size is, I mean, the mempool is always kind of clear up instantly, and there are a couple of things that could be a little bit better. For example, the stability of the reliability on how much time it passes during between mine blocks. It's not that reliable right now,
Okay.
but it's not something that worries us because we have many mitigations, and also the BSV protocol is has evolved a lot in that sense, and
Yeah.
it's being technically clear. It's the same protocol. It's just that the software just handles things a little bit better. It's more, yeah, it's more efficient.
Yeah.
It must be quite nice actually, because you're in the position where you haven't got to worry about the blockchain at all. You can almost forget it even exists, and while you're building on it. Whereas if you're building a Bitcoin wallet, you've really got to take that into account and find a way to solve scaling by
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, well, that's why we ran away from Bitcoin the first week we started testing HandCash, and we had the problem we had with Bitcoin Cash was that there was a lot of instability, of political instability between developers,
Mhm,
and we as a business, we don't want to deal with that. We don't want to
mhm.
think that half developers want to constrain the network, other half want to experiment on it. um, I- we just want a reliable network that scales with hardware and is cheap and is reliable, and that's what we have with BSV, and that's all we need. And I think it's going to be more apparent in the coming months that yeah, you can have your own horse because I mean, people are betting because they already made an investment, in some cases a very big investment into their favorite crypto, and they just want to find reasons to actually support their already made up assumptions
Mhm.
and preferences. But we as a business, as business owners, we just want to use the technology that works the best, and because again, I think we might be the only ones that actually don't care about uh, crypto and the price and all that crap. In fact, we want to run away from that. So I think it's not. We just want something that works.
So you don't discuss much with the BSV team, with the BSV developers, with those guys there. You let them get on with it, and you get on with your thing. Is that right?
Well, they know what we need. I mean, there are there are some errors that might arise from, if you are streaming pennies at a very fast pace, you can run onto this mempool to long chain whatever error. And so there are a few things of these that they are polishing, and they're increasing the limits or removing the limits in all these kind of things. And Bitcoin SV is much better today than it was like 2 years ago, which was just a fork from ABC at the time. And now they're porting things from the big project, the Terra node. And it's pretty cool because it's it just works. We don't talk about that. We just of course, if we have some suggestions about the how to handle fees, or for example, we do something that we call output bills, which is a technique that we are consolidating UTXOs all the time for the users in a way that's predictable. So we have kind of bills and coins. So it's kind of a complicated thing to explain if you don't read the article of what we do this. But it's pretty cool because it increases the efficiency of the system, and makes possible for some very cool scripts and very cool things, and is great for privacy. But for this output bills thing, we need to do all these kind of techniques all the time, and for that we asked the node developers. So hey, we need to do some free transactions from time to time, but it's just consolidation. How do we market in a way that that this is just for consolidating and we are not spending whatever? So they're they're very always listening to what we as developers need. But frankly, the network is good enough, and we are not asking for anything beyond just increase the limits on the few things that are still a little bit limited.
Mhm.
Cool.
So does the negative sort of interactions and views that Calvin Ayre and Craig Wright sort of create in the crypto world about BSV, do they worry
Mm.
you or interfere with your business plans in any way?
No, not at all. And we are trying to move away from all that noise. And
Yeah.
that part of it is that thing that I told you at the beginning of the podcast, that we are working on something for making this more usable and
Yeah.
more a better easier to sell for normal
Yeah.
people.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like, I think the BSV tech is very good. I think it's probably one of the better blockchains out there. It's just, for me, like I feel there's this there's this stigma about BSV. It's sort of saying like, "Hey, I use BSV." If you say that in the crypto world, people look at you funny, and
Sure.
it's just sort of it's the reputation those two have given it almost in a
Yeah.
way. Now, I'm not saying either of them are wrong or right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I
I
imagine
understand.
you'd have a lot more users if there wasn't that stigma created.
Probably, but which kind of users?
True. I mean, like,
We don't want Ethereum users, to be
yeah,
honest. We don't want to port over crypto users to this. I want my friend Carlos, who just plays video games. He doesn't know shit about crypto, to actually find this HandCash app useful for him. We don't want all the we don't want to appeal to crypto people, because actually we would just be doing the same product that everybody else is doing,
yeah,
and we are not interested in doing that.
that's cool.
There
So
are too many companies already serving that niche, and we don't think it's a very interesting niche, to be honest. Have you read the book Atlas Shrugged?
I haven't.
Okay, then anyway, nothing.
Sorry.
I was going to compare our situation in BSV with something that in the book that's called Reardon Metal.
Okay.
So
No, I mean,
anyway.
you can tell us about it. I'm very sure maybe one of our listeners will have read it if you're interested. I mean, it's always
No,
nice
in the
to know.
book there's a metal that's called Reardon Metal,
Okay.
which is from the company of Hank Reardon, which is a metallurgic. He's building stuff with steel, and he has some furnaces and stuff. The thing is that he's not good with he doesn't try to appeal to the public. So
Okay.
he's kind of like Craig Wright in some ways.
Yeah.
And he has a great metal and the metal works and he can build bridges and stuff, and he doesn't give shit about what people's opinion, because the product is good and that's all that matters, to be honest. And I
Yeah.
think this is a kind of a similar situation,
Yeah.
at least for us, that we are not trying to appeal to people like, hey, this is a BSV wallet. So we have been in that stage for a couple of years, but not anymore. Starting soon, we don't want to have anything to do with crypto, with Bitcoin. We don't want to even use those words.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know as well that the moment that you start to try and appeal to the crypto crowd, they're going to start asking you where their keys are. And if
Yeah.
you say, well, the keys are
Exactly.
protected by trusted third parties, they're just going to have a go at you.
Exactly.
But on the flip side, the people you're appealing to, I mean, we've had this discussion many times before, that every single crypto project that wants to appeal to anyone outside themselves has to tread that line between security and usability.
No, I think that's bullshit.
You think so?
In our own experience, when you try to improve the user experience, it comes with a massive increase in security, because you remove human error most of the time. And the biggest, I mean, we haven't had a single time that we ourselves, our system has fucked up the users' wallets, but we have innumerable times of people losing their keys or doing weird stuff like sending BTC to BCH addresses and shit like that. And that's a nightmare. And that's all human error. But that's because you are allowing for those errors to happen. In our experience, the more user friendly you make the wallet, the easier and the simpler it gets, and the more straightforward and the more options that you are limiting, the more secure you make it, because it's 99% human error.
Then playing devil's advocate, if the authorities came to you and they said, we think this user's been money laundering through your app, could they seize that person's wallet through the private keys or through you?
Not seized, but I don't know if seized. We would do whatever the law requires to. I mean, and again, this is not for your life savings. This is for using it and for making money on apps and games and getting donations from you for your podcast or for whatever. So again, we are not a savings account. We are a legal company. We are based on the ease of use, and we want to make it easy for regular people to use this. We are not helping people to do money laundering or sending money to terrorists.
Trust me,
we are not.
I wasn't suggesting that was the case whatsoever.
I know, but just to make it clear for the audience that we are not trying to appeal to that sector in any way. And that's one of the reasons why we want to get away from all this crypto bullshit and limit the amounts of money that people can have on HandCash. And we want to be very responsible, law obedient, and we think it's a great product that within the law it can provide a lot of value for many companies and users.
I agree, and actually I think there's more appeal, much more appeal in something like you've created, where the keys are securely secured for you, rather than you, like you say, you being given them from the outset and it's trusted to you to look after them, because people, like you say, people won't know how to do that. And that's what is needed to bring in to take cryptocurrencies mainstream, is to make it easy for people but give them the security.
The cool thing is that we made this without becoming a money transmitter or without becoming custodial. And that's the key point from this system, is that we are not custodials of users' keys, because legally, you are a custodial if you own more than a half of users in a split key system. If you own more than half, so we don't own more than half, and the other company doesn't either. So and also we are not a money transmitter. In part, well, all of this is very. I mean, my lawyer might be saying that's not technically exactly correct, because there are some, but basically it's like that. And we're not money transmitters too, because mainly because every transaction has to be approved by the user. It's not that you have to manually tap a button or whatever, but you have certain limits that you are allowing some company to sign transactions for you, whatever. But so you are in control. those are your keys, if you want to say that, although there are no keys, to be honest. It's just some access tokens and shit like that, but it's not like there are keys. So it's kind of a different system. And we just want to make it easy for the user.
You've really sold me on HandCash. Like, I just want to send you by email now so I can play.
It's my job. I'm surprised you haven't asked me about if I think Craig is Satoshi.
Well, I didn't think you'd have an opinion. You seem quite divorced from the whole thing. But now you've raised it, you're going to have to answer your own question.
No, it's because it's something that everybody asks me in every podcast.
So unfortunately, you've asked us right at the end of the podcast. We're going to run out of time, I think. But go on, give us your theory. Give us your theory as to the Craig Wright Satoshi argument.
My theory is that regardless of the story and whatever you think it's bullshit, Ask Ketchum and all that crazy story. I don't know if it's true or not. The farm. What I know is that I haven't met anybody else in this space that knows more about Bitcoin than Craig. But it's not that he knows about it; it's that he has a very profound understanding of not just the technical details but as a whole. And I think I'm convinced that he's Satoshi because me as a creator, I have created a few products and brands and stuff in my life. You feel that only the creator of a product has that kind of deep understanding. That's also, you oftentimes as a creator, you see things from another perspective, from than opinators or people that actually like to talk about for example, with Antonopoulos, he's like the mainstream view on what Bitcoin is and supposed to be. But Craig is very contrarian to what he says. And actually, we in our company, we have implemented the techniques that Craig has talked about in Bitcoin, that this should be working like this should work like that, in his articles from the past. And every time that we implement one of his techniques or advices, the productivity just skyrockets. And it just is like it was meant to be this way. So from my perspective, I don't know if all those stories are true or whatever, or he was Satoshi by himself, or there were more people helping him. I don't know. I have never been there, and I don't know. It's just stories. But I tend to believe it's true that he was in the conception of Bitcoin because nobody else understands Bitcoin like he does. That's my point.
In fact, I've heard similar stories from other people that have worked with him, that his understanding and knowledge and sort of command of Bitcoin is mind-boggling. Like, it's just incredible. No one else seems to be able to do it the way he does. They don't have the same understanding. They don't have the same, tips and advice. They don't say, oh, if you do this, this will, work better. Like, no one else does that and says that, and it actually works.
Yeah.
But then he lies so much. Let's not get into this now. I won't, because we could be here for some time. I don't think he is, but this is not the time to get into why not.
Okay. No, I understand. I to be honest, I don't give a shit if he is or he's not. It's my conviction that he is, and because of my experience.
Okay. Oh, I think that's a nice note to end on anyway. Before we go, Alex, can you remind our listeners how they can find HandCash and how they can get hold of you on social media, etc.?
Sure. You can visit handcash.io, which is our main website, and you can find us on Twitter at HandCash app, all together, HandCash app. And we're very very active with HandCash. And so, we are evolving all the time. So just make sure that you follow us and get all the latest updates on your next favorite Bitcoin wallet.
Great. Thanks very much for coming on to the Fully Crypto podcast and speaking to us tonight. It's really interesting.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Fully Crypto podcast. Please don't forget to like and subscribe on your platform of choice and follow us on all the social medias at Fully Crypto. And of course, for the latest blockchain and cryptocurrency news, reviews, opinion, and more, you don't need to look any further than our fantastic website, which is, Alex?
FullyCrypto.com.
fullycrypto.com. Alex, thanks for coming on again. Nice to speak to you as always.
Yeah, it's great to speak to you as well. It's nice to catch up a bit.
Definitely. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, enjoy your Bitcoin price watching.
Well, let's see if by the time this comes out, we're talking of the all-time high being in past tense. That would be very exciting.
Oh, I really hope it isn't. I really hope there's a dump right now and I can buy back in for the next pump.
We'll have to wait and see.
We
Well,
will.
thank you for listening, guys, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Good night.